Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Anonymous E. And here's her story. Firstly, Rose, you were right to get that on tape and share. People's dirty laundry may be their business, but once it's affecting you or your kids negatively, it's time to shine a light on their toxic behaviors. Hang in, Rose. Don't budge an inch. I insisted on 90 and 90, complete abstinence forever. But more of my story is coming. Sorry, Ollie, see, this is what I mean. One thought turns into a paragraph for me. That always annoyed Drunkie. She'd always say, my God, would you get to the point? Part of the reason I'm so shy. I know once I start talking, well, you know. Also, I'm seeing people commented on the video you did for me. Thanks, everyone. Maybe someday I'll have the courage to comment too, but for now I want to be anonymous. I've only been no contact from Drunkie and B and my 87-year-old maternal grandfather for 2 months or so. Even though Grandpa E moved here to Arizona and lives 30 minutes from me, Drunkie is living with him, so I can't go visit. I'm still real raw, having only realized the severity of my mother's impact on me over the last couple months. She had brainwashed me to think that life was normal. Dad would occasionally sympathize with me in private, but would never actually do anything. I'm so raw. I'm anonymous, but so grateful to be among my people here. Thank you all, and here I'll pick up where I left off in my last letter. I was trying to cope with Dad's death through workaholism paired with alcoholism after dark. Husband and I were fighting more, drinking more. I wasn't working nights anymore, and he and I got in a habit of stopping for a six-pack after a hard day's work in the desert heat. 3 beers each was no longer enough, and soon it was 6. I remember not being able to be alone with my thoughts. I made my husband buy me crossword puzzles. As soon as he walked out the door for work, I had to do puzzles and not think about Dad. It hurt so bad to think about him, how nasty and disrespectful I'd been to him the last time I'd seen him. He had come to town for Grandma L's funeral. He and Drunkie had been divorced officially for only a month, and he still worshipped her nasty drunk ass and thought she was going through a phase and that she'd eventually come around. Poor Dad. He was following Drunkie's narrative. The story that goes, you'll never be able to quit drinking. I can't watch you kill yourself. It hurts me too much. So he quit. He had 6 months at that point. I believe him because he was acting like someone who would at 6 months. Cloud 9, feeling great, doing everything right, thinking she'd come around, lecturing husband and I about our drinking. Poor Dad. Like I've said, he was so nice, and it made him dumb. He was so fucking stupid when it came to her. Anyway, he was staying with husband and I because Drunkie wouldn't let him stay with her. Fucking Drunkie brought her new boyfriend to Grandma L's funeral. Yes, she did. If you were following Drunkie's narrative, this was her new flunky that she met while he was running phone and internet cables at the grocery store she worked at after she was divorced. Let's call him Bob, because that's his fucking name and it suits him so well. Fucking Bobs are a dime a dozen. Naturally anonymous. Vodka can really make people so dumb. Oh boy, and boy do I know that. That was my mother's fit. They love the vodka. My little bro had seen fucking Bob at fucking Drunkie's house when he stopped in unexpectedly, before divorce had even been spoken about. She tried to lie about who he was, but little bro saw right through it. Yeah, not only was he running cable at the grocery store, he's running cable on Drunkie. He let her believe that he believed her story, just like we always do, but he told me what he saw. It was ridiculous. In my family, we have reality, and we have Drunkie's narrative. The first rule is never to talk about reality. Wait, that's the only rule. That is the only Never discuss reality with the narcissist. The narcissist doesn't live in reality. It's never reality. It's fantasy land. That's the narcissist world. That's where you get their spiral, is when you expose them to reality. What do you think narcissism is all about? Narcissism is about lying about reality, not accepting reality, creating their own reality. Everything else is fair game if you're drunky. She doesn't think little bro ever put two and two together. Or it's just not talked about. Like, hey, I know that flunky. That's the same flunky I caught you with at you and my dad's house. Your husband's house at the time. Can't talk about that. Fits into the reality category, not into drunkie's narrative. Still to this day, she acts like it didn't happen. They all do that. Because the narcissist creates their own reality. Faced with actual reality, that mirror held up into their face, that's when you get the spiral and the breakdown. Getting back on track, Dad is newly divorced and seeing his precious drunkie with Bob for the first time, just like everyone else watching her production. So obviously Dad relapsed that night. I couldn't stop him. Husband, Dad, and I left the funeral together with the fresh image of her new motorcycle flunky's hand on her fucking 50-year-old saggy ass. Oh, God. Booze and motorcycles. Ugh. Working in a grocery, I mean... I mean, this is like right out of the trailer park, to be honest with you. Excuse me. Oof. Husband said steaks would make them feel like men again, so we all went to the grocery store to get some. Dad wandered off. I found him in a checkout line with a bottle of booze and a blank stare. I asked him what he was doing. He said he had 6 months. He dismissed me. That pissed me off. He drank his 6 months away that night. I remember having to keep sliding his plate onto the table. He was cutting in steak, and in doing so was sliding the plate slowly off the table. Jesus Christ. I kept saving it from falling, but he didn't even notice. He was saying something about having a son, my half-brother in Vietnam, mumbling about having given Grandpa E his guns because he wanted to kill himself. I began yelling at him about how I'm so tired of alcohol messing everything up for him. I had been programmed that all problems stem from Dad's drinking, never drunky. She was so obviously the problem. Looking back, I instantly felt guilty. Look, alcoholics make their own choices. Nobody puts that bottle in his hand. Nobody. Understandably, your mother would fuck them up, being drunky the fuck clown herself. He made a decision to drink. It is still a choice. It is always a choice to pick up that bottle, open it, and drink it. It is always a choice. Just like narcissism. And you're caught up in the emotion of the alcoholism and your mother. It's all bad. It's all bad. I never yelled at Dad. I escaped to the bedroom, and in the morning he was gone. He left a note saying he was going home early, was embarrassed about his behavior, and was basically leaving in the interest of my comfort. He said all he could say for himself was he had never had to see his wife with anyone else before, and he couldn't handle it. He was sorry, and that was the last time I saw him. Still weak. He still made a choice to put that bottle in his hand. Yeah, it's fucked up. Yeah, your mother had been fucked up the entire time. She is a shit leopard. She is a drunkie the fuck clown, and shit leopards don't change their spots. It's not your fault that your father was fucking a hot stove for however long he was with her. I mean, she's banging the guy that was running lines in a supermarket she works at. I mean, come on. Jumping on a motorcycle at 50. Oh, God, I hate motorcycle culture to begin with. And I got the image in my head of exactly what your mother is. Dried out, alcoholic, white trash. Months went by without him calling. I didn't call him. More so because I was embarrassed for having yelled at him, but also still partly because I was still mad at him for giving in to the booze again. Now that I'm an alcoholic or drunkie in recovery, I can totally see how he relapsed that night. But back then I was mad at him for being weak because he was my dad and was supposed to be strong always. Shit, Ollie, writing this is making me want to cry. My dad was a very strong man, but the years with her had reduced him to a paxilled up, empty shell. You know how those legal drugs do. And Paxil with booze, he wasn't my dad anymore. Anyway, he called one day, no more than 2 weeks before he died. I'm pretty sure he was drunk and wanted to get off the line. He was telling me he was taking a trip to Thailand. He wanted to make sure I take care of his cat if he didn't come back. He was going to buy a wife, he said. He no longer had any delusions that drunkie would ever take him back. I told him he was talking crazy. I got off the line somehow, although I don't remember how. I wish I could remember the last words I said to him, but they were lies anyway. Then he was dead. And I was left knowing my dad was the kind of guy that goes to Thailand to buy a fucking person. That's what I'm telling you. I almost used your name. This is what I'm telling you. These are choices of bad people. Yeah, drunkie's a piece of shit. Yeah, she's an alcoholic, manipulative, fucking white trash whore. But your father made his choices. He drank because he wanted to drink. He writes a letter to you apologizing and then continues to go drink his face off, which tells me he was looking for an excuse to go drink his face off. That's what happened here. Telling me he really didn't know what your mother would do. You knows who your mother is. She's a hot stove. She's a shit leopard. Wasn't really a shock to him. He was looking for an excuse to drink his face off. How utterly confusing and just ill. I have a half-brother in Viet fucking Nam. But reining it in, drunkie and now she wasn't able to talk about Dad. So that was that. Book closed, locked, and keys stuck up, drunkies loose, shit reining it in. I was glad. I was so fucking pissed at her for killing my dad. I don't want to talk about it either. She tasked both my brothers and I with going out to California to clean out Dad's trailer. White trailer trash. I'm not calling you that, Anonymous, but that's what you come. I mean, because that's what it's written. You're living in his reality. You're living in the narcissist's reality. Still, you can see out right now, but you're still in that reality because you still haven't faced the fact. Well, you kind of have. Your father's the type of person who would go to Vietnam to buy a fucking person. Is he really this broken up over your mother, or is he just looking to drink his face off? Because the two don't marry up. That he could have this deep love for this person who's probably living in a trailer of her own, working in a grocery store, picking up a guy who's running cable there, okay, showing up at grandmother's funeral on the back of his motorcycle at 50 with his hand on her fucking wrinkled up, dried out fucking ass. If he has this deep love, if he's able to love to this point where he can't handle it, he's got to go have a drink. He's capable of that love, and also to go to Vietnam and buy a person. No. Your father is an alcoholic piece of shit. And you're still partially in their reality. You're still living partially because you haven't completely cleared out the fog here. So we did as we were told. God, I really didn't want to. This was just after 9/11, remember? So mostly just didn't want to fly. But we made it there safe. Can't do any more today. I'm getting mad. Gotta fix that. Thanks for your awesome work. Until the next installment. It ain't over till it's over. Anonymous E. E, you gotta get out of the reality. You gotta see it for what it is. Because the narcissist's false reality will continue to linger like a fog. And you got to clear out. You got to clear out the fog of the narcissist's false reality. Period. So I hope that helps. Thank you for another contribution and story. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been The Narcissistic Resistance. Take care.